Well, hi everybody, and thanks for joining me again. I know there's a lot of interest in my predictions that I made earlier in the year because some of you have been making comments and asked me to highlight some of them. So I'm going to do that for you today and perhaps give you some more insights. Now, one of the predictions I made in 2021 for this year, for 2022, was that I saw a sort of tsunami in the South Seas. And this has happened. In fact, I said it would be off the coast of Australia. So I don't know if we've got a tsunami of some sort coming to Australia, maybe hitting New Zealand as well, because I see something like in the water there, because I saw big waves rising and flooding something. So this is a sea type thing that I saw, that I feel is going to happen somewhere in the southern hemisphere. I think it's happening to the coastal lines of Australia. On the 15th of January, there was a massive earthquake that happened. It was an underwater volcano that triggered a tsunami off the coast of the Tonga, which is to the, as I described, it was to the east of Australia. This erupted and created quite a serious tsunami that caused a lot of damage and suffering for people. But what I saw seemed to be bigger than that, because I also saw a massive flooding in Australia. And this seems to be happening now in Australia. We don't get a lot of the Australian news here in the UK. But I did have someone write to me who said, you're right, Craig, just listening to this 2 months later, and we've just experienced the worst flood in hundreds of years. This is in New South Wales and other areas of Australia. Massive flooding and damage to entire towns. And I feel that Australia, because Australia's already been hit by huge problems with environmental change, fires, and more fires ahead. I mean, there's always going to be fires in Australia, but you know, they've been big. They will continue to be big with flooding, and Australia is being hit perhaps closer and quicker than Europe because of the change of the weather patterns in the southern hemisphere. So I think you've got a bumpy year ahead with environmental things in Australia, and possibly even I saw floods. Sometimes when you see things, you know, they appear bigger in one's consciousness than actually happens. I mean, I think this is the way predictions work, because we're kind of working with the unconscious mind. And it's a bit like in dreams, you know, in order for the conscious mind to access unconscious content, sometimes the unconscious mind will exaggerate things in your mind. So perhaps me and perhaps Nostradamus and other seers, sometimes we perhaps see it in a more exaggerated form because that's our unconscious mind trying to push this information upon us. Right, one of the other predictions that I made about was talking about Japan. One of the main things I was seeing is a big tsunami near Japan. I know I made a prediction in the past, didn't I, about earthquakes and the nuclear power stations being damaged in Japan. You remember I was pretty accurate with that, although at the time I was getting confused whether these nuclear power stations were in Japan or China. There's a little bit of fuzziness there was, but I was pretty accurate with that. So Japan is always often prone to earthquakes, and I feel that there's going to be this one that's going to affect Japan and all the coastal areas, and I'm talking about the south of Japan area in the sea there, probably quite far out, but it's quite a big one. Someone said on your comments again, I'm just going to read it here, it said, earthquake today in Tokyo, Japan, and just got the news. I mean, they've had earthquakes frequently, but I just heard this before yesterday, and a tsunami warning is in there for them. Millions without power at the moment. Just got my news from BBC. You get the news from the BBC. Some of you don't like that, do you? Also, I was going to add this, and added to another comment too, here on the channel. It was about the sad news about the boy in the dark. And this was when I was watching the events unfold, and I remembered that I heard something like this before, like I heard it beforehand. Why? Then I remembered that you said it as a world prediction on this channel. So this is about the boy that was trapped in a well in Afghanistan, I think it was, wasn't it? I'll put some news clips up in a second. And do some research. But yeah, I did see it on the news as well. And perhaps that's what I was saying, because I did again say that in my predictions about a boy that was held in darkness. And I kept seeing it was kind of a distraction as I was talking to you. I suddenly went off on a bit of a tangent and sort of said about this. So again, thank you to all of you who have been picking up on the predictions I make and putting things in the comments and reminding me if I've missed something on the news. So thank you for that. And so it's not a pleasure getting these things right, I've got to say, because it's not nice. There's so many horrible things seem to unfold in the world. But I think, as I often say to you, I think we can change the way things happen in the world up to a point, and perhaps completely. Actually, even disasters, I think, can be influenced by good human will. I don't think we even have begun to understand or estimate the power of consciousness. You know, I'm not just talking about awareness. I'm talking about consciousness as a thing that can go out and affect the world. The power of consciousness, I think, can shape the world if we have faith in it, and if we can have good visions in the world. So we need more spiritual thoughts and less dark and seedy thoughts. The more less materialistic our thoughts, the more spiritual our thoughts, I think the more the world will naturally become a better place. And it's up to each of us to do this, you know. So anyway, thank you for all with your comments. Keep making comments on these videos. It helps me. It helps create an interesting community around these videos, and I know many of you are coming back time and time again, and thank you for doing that. And it's really, I can't always answer them, but I do read them. So, and as I've sort of illustrated here, and also I know that some of you are being patrons on the site. I've had some new revelations that I found from the Nadi. One of my Nadi experts has found the Nadis for Ukraine, and I'll be talking about those in a Zoom meeting on the Patron pages. So those of you that are patrons, if you're in the right tier, come and join me for these talk about some of the things that the Nadis told us about will happen in Ukraine. These aren't my predictions, but I noticed some of them correspond with what I've been saying. Anyway, that will be on Monday. So if you want to join me, go and see the Patron pages, and you can come and join me and ask me questions about that on Zoom. All the Patron stuff, it will be in the description below. But if you're just a YouTube follower and you're too stingy to be a patron and support me, I'll still read your comments here too. So thanks, guys, for all you're doing and all the help you're all helping with making the world a better place together. Thank you. Okay, see you soon. Bye for now.